At least 6 countries have ordered the grounding of all Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, citing the Ethiopian Airlines crash and another deadly accident of that same model in Indonesia, while many continue to fly. Updated 1 minute ago by Charlotte Lam. Maani Truu As the tributes flow for the 157 victims of the Ethiopian Airlines crash. A number of airlines have grounded their Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets after similarities emerged between two recent aviation disasters. On Sunday, the Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft carrying 157 passengers and crew went down 6 minutes after its early morning takeoff from Addis Ababa, killing all on board. Ground crew check out a Boeing 737 MAX 8 airliner. It is the second time in 6 months that the aircraft model has been involved in a horrific crash shortly after takeoff. In October 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 with 189 people on board crashed into the Java Sea off the coast of Indonesia just 13 minutes after takeoff, killing all on board. Which countries have grounded aircraft so far? China has ordered domestic airlines to suspend commercial operation of the Boeing 737 MAX 8, citing the Ethiopian Airlines crash and another deadly accident of that same model in Indonesia. Noting that similarities between the two accidents, China's Civil Aviation Administration said domestic airlines had until 6 p.m. local time to ground all 737 MAX 8 aircraft. Reg lies at the crash site of Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 en route to Nairobi, Kenya, near Bishoftu, Ethiopia. South Korea's Transport Ministry also announced that 2 of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets operated by budget airline Starjet would be grounded pending an investigation, while the Mongolian Civil Aviation Authority announced it had ordered state carrier Mongolia Airlines to ground its single Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft. Ethiopian Airlines, Cayman Airways and South African airline Comair also announced they were suspending the use of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 until further notice, on the recommendation of aeronautical authorities, following the tragic accident of ET-302. Ethiopian Airlines has decided to ground all B737-8 MAX fleet effective yesterday, March 10, until further notice, the state-owned carrier said in a statement released on Twitter. Ethiopian Airlines has a fleet of 4 737 MAX 8 jets, not counting the one that crashed on Sunday, according to flight tracking website Flightradar24. Indonesia said it was grounding 11 of the jets, 10 of which are operated by Lion Air and 1 flown by national carrier Garuda. Operation of the model will only resume after confirming the relevant measures to effectively ensure flight safety, the administration said in a statement. Do Australian Airlines fly Boeing 737 MAX 8s? An Australian airline operations expert told SBS News that the model was still safe to fly, despite the similarities between the two crashes raising questions. With the investigations still ongoing with the Indonesian event, I'm not sure if there's any concern for the aircraft type yet until the evidence suggests there is something going on, Dr. Peter Bruce from Swinburne University in Melbourne said. I think it will come down to seeing what evidence is consistent before any moves are made to do anything against the fleet of MAX 8s, Dr. Bruce said. There are quite a few MAX 8s in service around the world already, and certainly Australia is getting some towards the end of the year. Virgin Australia has confirmed it has ordered 30 Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes, the first batch of which are due to arrive before the year's end. A carrier spokesman told SBS News it was too early to comment on whether the Ethiopian crash would impact the order. The airline's still flying the Boeing 737 MAX 8 elsewhere. Airlines have said they will continue flying the aircraft pending an investigation, while others continued to operate without commenting. Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft will continue to fly as normal in Fiji, Russia, the US, Canada, Turkey, Italy, Norway, Brazil, Iceland, Singapore and Dubai. Iceland Air's operations chief Jens Thordarson said it would be premature to link the crashes in Ethiopia and Indonesia together. Hi Paula. All of our Boeing 737 MAX aircraft are operating as normal. Our passengers' safety is and will always be our top priority. We would never operate a flight unless safe to do so. Kind regards, Christian, Norwegian, @fly. Norwegian, March 11, 2019. Fiji Airways, which includes the Boeing 737 MAX-8 in their fleet, told SBS News they had full confidence in the airworthiness of our fleet. Fiji Airways followed a comprehensive induction process for our new Boeing 737 MAX-8 aircraft, a spokesperson said. We continue to ensure that our maintenance and training program for pilots and engineers meets the highest safety standards. Canada's Transport Minister echoed this sentiment, announcing he wouldn't ground dozens of the aircraft unless given reason to do so. I think it would be premature to ground them, Transport Minister Marc Garneau said, noting that the aircraft model has flown millions of hours. Marc Garneau said, Air Canada, WestJet and Sunwing operate 41 of the jetliners in this country. Singaporean Airlines Silk Air, which services Australian locations including Cairns, Darwin and Kathmandu, will also continue to operate its 737 MAX-8. Meanwhile, Oman Air said it was in contact with Boeing to understand if there are any implications for other airlines operating the same model. What's next? Aviation experts expect the investigation process to be much quicker compared to last year's Lion Air tragedy, in which investigators initially struggled to recover the black box because the jet had crashed off the coast of Indonesia. Dr. Bruce understands the growing concerns around the safety of this fleet and in the industry as a whole, but urged Australians to keep things in perspective. The incidents and accidents that do happen strike the headlines, rightly so, but they're actually very few and far between considering the thousands and thousands of flights each day, he said. They're on rent that many aviation accidents that happen, they're horrible when they do, but they're on rent that many. If you look at car crashes, if they hit the headlines every day, you don't get anything else in the paper. Investigative journalist and former UK Royal Air Force pilot Mikey K is interested to know what training the Ethiopian Airlines crew received on the updated guidance for the 737 MAX-8, issued by the US-based Federal Aviation Administration. In the aftermath of the Lion Air crash, I would be looking into a couple of key areas, he told said. That radio call by the pilot would have been preceded by a Mayday, 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 or a Pan, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday being the very serious one, which could indicate a severe catastrophic failure. I'd be interested to know whether it was a Mayday or a Pan, because that would give us an indication of how severe the pilots interpreted the problem that they were having. Stay up to date with SBS News app. Subscribe, follow, listen, watch SBS News app. Download our free app on the App Store or Google Play for the latest headlines and breaking news alerts. SBS News on social. Follow SBS News to join in the conversation and never miss the latest live updates. Latest news podcasts. Ask Amazon Alexa for the latest SBS News or listen to SBS Radio Daily Bulletin. Watch SBS World News Live daily at 6:30 p.m. on TV and on our app. Catch up on SBS On Demand.